Washington's clear-thinking headquarters. The Morning Majority, 5 to 9 on 630 WMAL.
7:36 on WMAL. Neiman and Wilson this morning. Mary Catherine has the day off, like most of Washington, it seems, in August. Trevor Matich working hard. He's coming in the studio yet again.
And Mary Catherine's not here.
I know.
I'd have gone to
I know how
Cleveland
disappointed you must be.
called in if I'd have known Mary Catherine's not here.
We'll have to work out the
Y'all
schedule.
need to see Mary Catherine. She is...
We see her every day. We know.
She's as lovely as she is intelligent.
You're preaching the choir here. Redskins report presented by Fork Union Military Academy. So 2-0. Kings of the preseason so far. Redskins, John Beck era starts. We didn't see him in the first game. He was injured. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did. Good. It's time to book our trips to the Super Bowl. And,
get them tickets ready.
Yeah, and get ready for the John Beck induction into the Hall of Fame in Canton. We're good to go. This week it's the same as last week. It's okay to be encouraged. It's not okay to be exuberant. So just guarded optimism, and we're trying to burst out of that guardedness, but we're just not ready to burst yet.
I said earlier, I kind of want to be excited. I'm just not sure I should be excited.
Right. It's okay. Excited is good too. Just we have to curb the expectations. For example, the defense was fantastic. The Colts had 1 rushing yard in the first half.
That's amazing.
They had 1 first down in the first half. What a dominant defense, right? Well, the defense did play well, but Peyton Manning was hurt, their quarterback, and he didn't play. Most of the starters on the Colts offense didn't play. And so if the Colts offense had done pretty well against our starting defense, the conversation would be, well, why did the Colts backups hold their own against our starters? Well, the Colts backups didn't. Our starters dominated as they should have, which again is why be encouraged, but just be a little careful about exuberance.
All right, but still, you saw John Beck play. It's the first real live action we've seen him with the Washington Redskins. What did you think? I mean, he was accurate. Seemed like he had some zip on the ball, made the right choices and where to throw the ball to. I was impressed with him.
Yeah, he did very well. Last week, Rex Grossman completed 73% of his passes. So Beck comes out and completes 82% of his.
That's amazing.
But again, that's not the interesting thing to me. It's what you mentioned, Brian, about knowing where to throw the ball. It was managing the game. He threw the ball downfield a few times in this game, but so many times he surveyed the field. The Colts run a zone defense, so they usually shut down the deep stuff. He checked down and threw the shorter pass so that he didn't have the flashy stat. But what he had was 2nd and 5. And that kept the Colts defense guessing whether it would be a run or a pass. And in that way, he managed the game the way Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, wants it to be managed.
All right, so if you're Shanahan and you look at Rex Grossman and Beck, who do you like better?
Right now, I would say Beck. And the reason is they both performed at a similar level. Against preseason defensive schemes, they both did very, very well. But the thing is, if they're similar in their production, I've got to go with John Beck, and this is why. Rex Grossman has been a starter in this league. He's gone to the Super Bowl in this league. That's a lot more experience than John Beck. Beck hasn't thrown a regular season pass since 2007. If Rex Grossman can't be clearly better than Beck with that experience, then that tells me that Beck has more short-term upside, at least more short-term upside.
More growth potential.
That's right. And so that's why if they're similar, if Grossman is not clearly better than Beck, I go with Beck because of that growth potential you just mentioned.
All right, there are reports that Kyle Shanahan has always liked John Beck. When he was with the Texans, said, maybe we had to draft this guy. I think in 2008 when he came out, they traded for John Beck, but everybody's like, really, you're going to trade for John Beck? Hasn't really been nothing but a backup or even a third-string quarterback in this league. Why do the Redskins like him so much? Does he fit this particular offense better than anybody else, or do they really just think he's just a great quarterback or a diamond in the rough?
Well, he fits the system. This system requires the quarterback be a really great, efficient, effective, obedient robot. This doesn't require a lot of improvisation.
All right.
And if you're John Elway, great, you can do that, all the better, much gravy. But what this offense requires is that the quarterback know where to throw it, get the ball out of his hand quickly, and let the receivers and the running backs be the star, not the quarterback. And what they like about Beck is that he's a very smart game manager. He was productive that way in college at BYU. He just has never had the chance in the NFL to show whether or not he can do it at this level. So the people that say he's great or the people who say he can't play, actually are guessing. Nobody really knows.
I get the sense that this Shanahan offense is going to be sort of workmanlike. It's going to be a lot of those little short shuttle passes, nothing deep, nothing flashy. Just get her done. Get about 3 1/3 yards every time you get the ball.
Yeah, it starts that way.
Yeah.
Now, they will need to throw it down the field at times because it's hard to sustain a long drive in the NFL too many times. But at the same time, this offense is designed to take what the defense leaves relatively under-defended. You can't defend the whole field really well. You've got to pick and choose where you want to emphasize it. And so this offense is designed to make decisions on the fly to hit the defense where it's weakest. But you do have to throw it deep. The great thing about it is that if the running game is going well, then you have more opportunities for deep passes on play action.
There's a lot of talk about Shanahan's philosophy with running with the zone blocking scheme. All right. Does anybody else run a zone blocking scheme in the NFL?
Yeah.
And does it? All right. So is it that much different than whatever other teams do? Does it take a year to figure it out? Because they seem to be running the ball pretty well without a real, big name running back.
Yeah, the zone scheme just takes getting accustomed to, and you have to have the right personnel. A power scheme requires these big mashing offensive linemen that just pile drive and blast the defense backward off the line. The zone scheme requires smaller, more mobile offensive linemen, and it's almost like Dancing with the Stars. Instead of driving them off the ball, you get in front of them and stay in front of them as you go from side to side. And so once you get that kind of personnel in there, it's good. It's good for backs too because it allows them to have easier reads and easier runs a lot of the time. But here's where once again, curb our exuberance.
Right.
They ran for 215 yards against the Colts. Woohoo! But 2 of those runs were for 50 yards or more. 2 runs were about half of their rushing total. And they were very effective running outside in those outside zone runs. But inside, when they tried to pound it in there, where you do have to drive people back, they didn't perform very well. And so we look at the yardage and the averages, and boy, it looks good. But remember that a 58-yard run and then 22-yard runs will get you beat.
All right, so we've been looking backwards. Let's look forwards.
Okay.
Let's look at the Ravens.
Ravens tend to slap the Redskins around.
Yeah.
They tend to bounce the Redskins right off
And
the
rather
floor.
enjoy it, don't they?
And then take a little racket and knock them over the net and just play a little wiffle ball with them, whatever they do. The Ravens are a very tough, physical team, and even in the preseason, when you're not doing a lot of game planning, you can tell a lot about your guys when you play the Ravens because they will hit you in the mouth. The coaches will then see how guys respond to being hit in the mouth. And the starters have played a lot in these first 2 preseason games. I expect them to play a lot against the Ravens as well. And whereas we couldn't tell a whole lot, for example, about the defense against the Colts offense, we will learn about this defense now. We'll see how tough they are individually. This Ravens game is something to really tune into if you're a Redskins fan because this is really the first time that you'll actually learn something you can hang your hat on.
All right, Trev, thanks for stopping by.
It's always good to have you.
We promise Mary Catherine will be here next time.
It's great to be here. Please, I beg you, Mary Catherine.